Welcome to Dark Truths, Religion Uncovered. Tonight, we'll discuss a significant shift in how we view faith. To be more specific, the removal of God as judge and what that means for accountability. In ancient beliefs, judgment was not seen as cruel. It was about clarity. God judged not to punish for pleasure, but because truth demanded it. Every action and choice mattered. The people of Israel understood that God saw them, evaluated their actions, and responded appropriately. Judgment helped to restrain injustice, humble those in power, and remind humanity that it was responsible for its actions. For example, Abraham asked, "Shall not the judge of all the earth do right?" Not out of fear, but in trust of God's sense of justice. However, modern beliefs often shy away from this idea of judgment. It feels harsh, old-fashioned, and at odds with the concept of love. God is often portrayed as solely affirming, endlessly patient, and always understanding. As a result, accountability turns into mere empathy, and consequences seem postponed indefinitely. While this perspective feels compassionate, ancient teachings would warn that it's dangerous. Scriptures never separate love from justice. A God who doesn't judge cannot protect those who are vulnerable. Without judgment, there is no answer to evil. Modern belief may reject judgment because it makes believers uncomfortable. It reminds them that faith is not just about personal healing. It also has moral implications. God doesn't merely heal wounds. He confronts the issues that cause them. Judgment is not against mercy. Rather, it provides the necessary context for mercy to exist. Mercy is important because judgment is real. Forgiveness has power because there are consequences for actions. When judgment fades away, mercy loses its significance. Grace becomes an entitlement, and holiness turns into a mere suggestion. Ancient believers feared a world without judgment, as it could lead to unchecked injustice. On the other hand, modern beliefs often lean towards reassurance, which feels safe. However, that safety without accountability can lead to complacency. Scriptures do not depict God as indifferent to wrongdoing. He may delay judgment, but he does not abandon it. This delay serves as mercy, not denial. Unfortunately, modern belief can confuse the two. People often think that silence means approval or interpret patience as permission. But ancient teachings emphasize that God's patience is meant to encourage repentance, not to eliminate accountability. Judgment is what establishes moral reality. It asserts that suffering matters, that evil doesn't have the final word, and that wrongs will be addressed. When we remove judgment, faith loses its seriousness, and without seriousness, belief becomes mere sentiment. Tonight's important takeaway is this: a faith that lacks judgment cannot uphold justice, truth, or transformation. Seeing God as judge is not a threat, it is a source of hope. A hope that wrongs will be righted, that truth will prevail, and that lives matter beyond this moment. Ancient believers trusted God's judgment because they trusted who He is. In contrast, modern belief often avoids judgment out of fear of discomfort. Yet, discomfort is where our conscience learns to awaken. So, we conclude with a thought-provoking question that ancient teachings would pose to modern belief. If God were no longer a judge, what would prevent evil from having the last word? Thank you for joining us on Dark Truths, Religion Uncovered. We welcome your thoughts. Has accountability shifted into reassurance, or does belief still stand before a God who judges because He loves? Thank you for joining us. See you on the next episode.